This morning I am restoring the shovel that I got from my parents in their shed. So a long time ago the handle had rotted off and it was just sitting in their shed for forever. Probably since I was a kid. I remember this shovel. So don't throw your old shovels out, you know, they're still good. They might have a little rust on them, but if you clean them up, you know, throw some linseed oil on them to protect them. Get a nice new handle, put it on there. It's all good. How I'm going to do this, I'm going to use a sanding flapper disc on my grinder, take all the rust off, and then there's a rivet pin that's in there. I'm going to use the grinder to grind off one of the sides of the heads, and then use a punch to push it out. To get the wood out, because it might be stuck in there, it might just fall out. Hopefully it just fall out. I might have to burn it, maybe with a blowtorch, or I might light a fire and stick it at that end in there. Some shovels, particularly the older ones, are going to have a tempered head, so you don't want to affect that temper. All the rest of this is fine, but you know, if you're going to be heating this up to get that out of there, don't throw the whole thing in the fire. You know, it will affect the temper. So this is the part that is tempered nice and hard and tip, if it is, and this part isn't. So I can heat that up safely to pull that handle out. And so to put it back in, I'll take this and put it in there. I will drill a hole through where that is, the little pin, the rivet pin, and you know, just a little bit smaller. I'm going to heat up the new rivet pin, which is on there. Don't buy a handle without a rivet pin, because you need that part. Make sure it's attached when you buy your handle. I'm going to slide that piece inside, you know, drill that hole slightly smaller than the pin. I'm going to heat up the pin, push it through, and then pound it flat on the other side so it holds in there nice. That's it for now. I'm going to show you guys the steps as we go along. So quick update. Here we are as we're working on it. You know, you can see the flapper disc makes quick work of it. Is not much work at all to get that out of here. It is kind of difficult to get in these areas. I'm gonna do the best I can with the flap disc, and then I'll probably go back and, you know, maybe I'll hit it with a hand sander or something. Something I noticed as I was cleaning up the shank, I guess you would call it, this part. It does, in fact, on there say, you know, made in USA, so that's good. You know, we're returning something to service that was built in this country, and, you know, putting it out there. So if you see old shovels like this, don't be afraid to take the time out of your day and you know, pick them up, put a new handle on them, and put it back into service. That way we're not buying cheap foreign products, you know, from another country that, you know, doesn't appreciate the same values that we do. Another good point, and I'm glad, you know, they put this on here. They took the time to put this on here. I know that it is a tempered head. It says it right there, tempered. I'm guessing number 2 means this size. I'm not sure why the number 2, but it is definitely a tempered head. So I want to be careful that I don't heat this up and ruin that temper, because it will, you know, make it brittle. And that's not good. It'll just crack, or, you know, it's not going to be the original quality. I noticed this tip here is kind of bent. I might bend that back into shape with some, you know, hammers. I got an auto body set that might work on that, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll probably sharpen up this tip a little bit just so it cuts a little nicer. It's going to wear down, but, you know, while it is sharp, it does work really well. So yeah, that's a quick update for now, and then I'll do this side and this part, and then I'll work my way to the back side. So I liken doing this type of thing to prospecting for gold. You know, I had found another tool, a head for it looked like a tomahawk, in my parents' shed, and I'm pretty sure they're hard to authenticate, but I'm pretty sure it's you know, a frontiersman tomahawk, you know, from back in the days when we were expanding west. So, you know, you can uncover pieces of history, and you're working with a tool that, you know, that has such a story, it's such a spirit, it's seen all these different things. This one in particular, I don't know how old it is, but I did uncover a marking on the back. I'm sure my buddy and faithful subscriber Matt Peerjock could tell me. I found a V, looks like a V7. I don't know what brand that is, but I'm sure that's a a maker's mark or something like that. So I don't know who makes this head, but it is made in the USA. It's tempered. It's a number 2. Again, I don't know exactly what number 2 means, but yeah. So this is a really good tool. I don't know how old this is. I think my parents probably bought this, before they had me. It might have been my great-grandfather's. He owned a lot of property where my parents bought before he died. So this is where I'm at so far. I got it, pretty well cleaned up. I'm not going to be able to get in there too good. I might just take a wire brush to it and knock off the big bits. But the next step is to grind off the rivet pin and then get this wood out of the socket there. One more thing. I don't appreciate the lacquer on the handles. The way that they come in the store, they put it on there to protect the wood so that it lasts long. It makes your hands sticky. It's sticky. It makes the handle sticky, and it grabs and rubs extra hard on your hands, and it gives you blisters. So what I do to all of my tool handles, I'll take a flapper disc very carefully because it will eat away material very quickly. And I'll strip all the lacquer off, take it down to bare wood, and then sand it up really, really nicely. And then I'll apply, the best thing I found is coffee. And I don't know why, I just had the idea to put coffee on, one of my handles one day, and, it makes it swell. And then, you sand off the bits that swell out, and it gets smooth as bone when you're done. So there's that. I'm going to leave the lacquer on this part because I'm not going to be operating it with my hands. But any part that I'm going to be using my hands on, I don't want to have that sticky substance on there. So I'm going to strip it. And then to protect it, after I do that, I use boiled linseed oil on the handles and the head to protect the metal and protect the wood. And it gives it a nice lubricated, slick feeling on the hands. It feels really good, and it smells fantastic. So that's a good way to do that. When you are selecting a handle, and it doesn't really matter much for a shovel, let's see if I can get some good lighting on this. Alright, so it doesn't really matter for a shovel because you're not going to be putting ridiculously excessive forces on there like you would for like an axe or a sledgehammer or something. You want to make sure that all the grains, if you can find them, are nice and straight along the whole handle, like this one. And I just happen to be lucky to find such a perfect handle. And that they run this way with the lines of force. So you can see the curve in the end there. This is the way that it's going to be with the shovel flat on the ground as I'm going to be using it. So any forces on it are going to be, directed down, or if I'm, prying something out of the ground like a root ball or something, the opposite direction. So you want your grains to go with the force that you're going to be putting on the handle. If the weakest pattern is perpendicular to that, basically, if you try to use it, and I don't even know why they sell those handles because they're complete garbage. If you try to use it and it goes this way instead of this way, perpendicular to your lines of force, it'll just splinter and fall apart, and that's no good. So definitely, pay attention to the wood grains while you're going at this, because it's worth it to make the extra effort. While you're doing all of this effort, you might as well do it right the first time. That way you don't have to redo it. Stay away from hardwood or heartwood. It can have some weird grain patterns in there. It's not as strong. And you'll know because it'll be a darker color wood. It'll have some cool looking, handle designs in there, but you don't necessarily want that. So at this point, it's stripped down. I have not sanded it yet. I'm going to sand it, apply, I don't have any coffee. I'm just going to use water. It works, just as well. So I'm going to apply the water. The grains are going to pop up. I'll sand it again, nice and smooth. And and then working in tangent. If I need to wait, I will get to this after that. So when you're grinding down this pin, you want to grind it down just enough, very carefully, until you can see the ring of the pin. Ooh, went out of focus. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you understand the concept. And then punch it out. So I tried doing it this method with a punch and a ball peen hammer. These are two tools you need. Absolutely. I've owned this one for a good many years, probably as long as I've been in the Navy. It's one of the first tools I bought. It's a Craftsman, wonderful tool. Buy one. If you can't find one in a reasonable price, I'm sure you can go to the hardware, or not a hardware store. Obviously, you would go to a hardware store to buy a hammer. You could go to a pawn shop and they have random assorted tools. Again, older tools, the better. The quality of metal these days is not that great. And in this video, you're learning the principles of how to rehandle a tool. So that's a good thing. You should have that. But it was awkward working on the shovel to get that out. So I'm going to switch over to my pneumatic impact hammer with the pointed tip to get that out. And how you use these, they come with these bits, or you can buy these bits separately. I got the short ones so I can fit them in better places. That bird is really loud. So you unscrew the coil there. That's the spring return coil. Slide the bit in, screw that back on. Don't forget to always oil your air tools before you use them. I use 4 drops. This is good quality oil. I use it in all my tools. Buy a big one and get the can holder for the side of your toolbox and keep that in there. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to use this tool to get that thing out, and it's going to be much easier. Definitely much easier. I had to make sure, if I had a vise, I would use that and put the shovel in there, but I don't. I'm in the market for one, and most of the ones on the shelves these days are complete shit. So I made sure that was on there good and tight, or in that spot. Nice. Something that I might have wanted to do was drill a divot to fit the point in there, but it ended up working. I just got it started, and then I used the punch to get it out the rest of the way. So I used that tool just to break it loose. It took seconds. It was great. So this idea worked surprisingly well. I just put the punch in there on the piece of wood that was sticking in there and knocked it a couple times with the hammer, and it popped right out. And you can see, there's a bit more broken bits in there, but they should just fall right out because it is tapered. So this part is smaller, and if it goes in the bigger hole, it should come out real nice and easy. That's it for that part. These little toothbrush wire brushes are one of the most amazing tools ever, especially if you're doing stuff like this in small areas to clean out things. You can see how far I can shove that in there. It's pretty much the whole distance, probably to there. And then from the other side, same story. Goes pretty much the full length. I couldn't get much leverage on there, but you can clean it out very good. So I just knocked the big bits off of there. I'm not too worried about it. Doesn't look like I did much, but it did get the big, flakes off of there. That way I can get a good seat with the new handle that's going in there. We're at the point where the head goes on the stick. It's kind of dark, but as soon as I go out in the light, I can't really see what I'm focusing on here. Okay, so the head's going on the stick, on the handle. The best way to do this is you want to get it started by bouncing it like that, and the shock, if you can understand this, the shock from the impact, you want to protect the handle with a piece of wood. I'm using a scrap piece from my biodiesel unit, the old one. The shock and the impact shoots the head onto the handle. After I get this on here pretty good, I'm going to turn it around, and the same idea, holding it, just like this with the head down, I'm going to knock on the top end of the hammer, or the top end of the handle with a hammer, and the same principle. The shock will draw the head up onto the handle. nice and tight. We're gonna see how far we can get it. If I'm not satisfied, because that is a lot of space there, I don't think it's gonna go that far. If I'm not satisfied, I'll take it out. I'll shorten the handle a little bit inside there, and then if I can't get it all the way in, I don't like the way that looks, I'll probably just sand it down and, you know, make it look flush and good, and then call it a day. Put it on there. Yeah, I wasn't satisfied with it, so I knocked it back off with a hammer. I'm going to cut probably 1 inch off of there and then retry it. I might go to 1.5 inches. This part where the metal came up to there, it only went about this far, and it wasn't a nice flush, you know, tight connection. So I'm gonna fiddle with it to get it on there the right way. Again, probably cut that much off right there. That is absolutely perfect. I probably have to take 2 inches off of there. It is going to spread this out a little bit. You want to hit that back flat again. Make sure, you know, it's not mushroomed out with your hammer. I don't know if you guys can see how far I got in there. I didn't really get that far in, but, you know, just a little bit helped me get it on there all the way. You don't want to do it too much, otherwise it won't be as strong of a joint. Sorry, I had a bug crawling on me. But yeah, you're just gonna smack the crap out of it once you get it on there. You don't, be careful, definitely do it on wood so you don't crack your handle. You put all this work into it. You don't have to go buy a new handle. I think this handle was like $15, and that's probably an overestimate. It might have been like $13. Not a big deal. Way cheaper than buying a brand new good quality shovel like this one. Alright, so I'm going to use my most favorite drill ever to pre-drill this hole for where the pin goes. That's the pin. I'm going to take the pin, put it in the vice grips. I'm going to take the lighter. I'm going to start this blowtorch. I'm going to heat that pin up until it's really hot, and then I'm going to stick it into the hole. It's going to burn its way through the rest of the way, and then once it gets through the other side, I'm going to use my ball peen hammer, my Craftsman ball peen hammer, because I do love Craftsman, and I'm going to mushroom the tip onto the other side so it stays in there nice and tight. And then I'll find something to, I'll have to find something to rest this on while I pound it. Ideally, I would have an anvil, or a vise or something with an anvil surface that I could use that on, but I don't. I'm in the market. If you guys have one and, you know, it's just lying around, I would be absolutely ecstatic to have it. I would restore it and love it forever. But yeah, that would be ideal. If I had an anvil and a vise, that's how I would do it. It worked well. It took a bit, you know, heating and reheating with the blowtorch. You can hear that's on. To finish burning all the way through, but once it got through, you know, the final bit, you want to make sure you heat it once again, make sure it's good and red and hot. You get it in there. I recommend hitting it with the ball side of your ball peen first to get it to spread, and then once it's spread, you can hit it with the flat side. Well, it works good. You know, it's kind of hillbilly. My hillbilly anvil here, it's a brick with a rock on top of it, and it worked. So yeah, the one pin in there, once you get it through, flip it over, and then pound it flat. You can see it's nice and flat on there. It's pretty much what the old one was like. That's what you're looking for. Now it's on there nice and tight. Right now I could call it good, and it's a shovel. But I haven't sanded the handle yet, so I'm going to sand that up real nice. And then I'm going to clean the whole thing up and finish it with some boiled linseed oil. And then that's pretty much it. So here we go. It is sanded up. And it is smooth as bone, as promised. So again, how I do that, if you guys missed it. I take the lacquer off from the store with the angle grinder and a flapper disc. And then I'll use my DeWalt sander. So we got a full DeWalt lineup here. I guess it's a good product placement for a DeWalt video. I use my DeWalt sander, random orbital with a 60 grit, heavier grit to smooth out what the flap disc does. to round it out, because it does leave like ridges. So once that's done, then I'll wet it. When I'm satisfied with that, I'll wet it. It'll stand up all the grains, and then I'll finish it with a light hand sanding with 120 grit paper, just to make it nice and smooth. I'll do it when it's damp. I guess you could do it when it's dry, but I like to do it when it's damp, because I know that all of the fibers are standing up on end and it can be grabbed by the sandpaper very easily. So I'll do that. And then one technique I found out about for finishing wood it's a Japanese technique. You burn the surface, just the surface, not the whole thing. I believe it's called shoshugiban. So I'm going to use my blowtorch for that, and I'm going to kiss the handle with the flame, and it brings out the grain patterns, and it kind of charcoalizes. I think that's a verb. I don't know. It does that to the surface. It burns the surface evenly, and that's the goal, evenly. You don't want to hit one spot really hard. And then leaves a protective surface. It closes up the grains, keeps water out, all kinds of things. And then, so after I do that, I'm going to cover it, the whole tool, even the head, with boiled linseed oil to protect it. Another thing I'm going to do while I got the blowtorch out, I picked up these steel stamping set dealies at Harbor Freight. They have like 3 different sizes. They have all of the letters and the numbers 1 through 9, and a couple symbols like that ampersand. But I take these and I heat them up with the blowtorch, right there, and then I'll burn my little maker's mark into the handle. So that's it for this part. We'll be back in a second with the finished shovel. So this is what the handle looks like after the controlled blowtorch burn, the Shoshugiban treatment. I like the look of it. If you guys don't like it and don't think it really does anything, you don't have to. It's just an extra thing I do, because I'm proud of the tools that I restore. I think it, might make them last longer, and it looks cooler. Kind of gives you like a little camouflage pattern. If you're really into camouflage, there's an idea for treating wood. It kind of looks neat. So after this, I'm going to hit it with 120 grit once again, just to make sure it's nice and extra smooth. I hit it with all this heat, so I know that it's dry. There's not going to be any moisture trapped inside. So then I'll apply the boiled linseed oil to the whole thing, and it will look fantastic. Here we are, folks. My new favorite shovel. This is completed all the way. You can see the tip on there. Also, did the heat treatment, and make sure you get oil in there nice and good. That's going to soak up a lot of oil on the end greens, on the end of the greens there. So this is the nice color with the oil on there. You get dark charcoal blacks with like chestnut hues, tiger stripe patterns, kind of, when it's all done. It looks really good. And this is what the tip looks like when you after you oil it up. It will turn a black color. The acids in the oil will do that. So it'll start off orange and rusty, and it'll turn into a nice dark, old school looking, antique look of a metal. I got my little maker's mark on there, burned it in there, because I'm proud of it, and that's what I want to do. Put that on there so I know it's mine. Not that anybody would be confused with their piece of junk from the store-bought shovels. They're gonna look at this shovel and say, "That is a nice shovel," and they will be jealous. So definitely, if you, again, do yourself a favor, go back to the beginning of this video and see what it looked like before this, and then come back to this and look at it again. Put this picture in your mind, go back to the beginning, look at what I started with. This took me probably an hour to do this whole thing. It would have been shorter if I didn't have to do all these videos. But I want to show you guys what you can do with things that you consider garbage. They're not. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We are up to 9 subscribers now. That's fantastic. Spread the knowledge, get the word out. You guys tell everybody, hey, there's a movement going on, and we're fixing the world. That's all for now. I hope you guys have an outstanding day. I love you guys. I'm out.